Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what we're going to do is we're going to continue working on the React front end of this application. So the next step would be creating a form to create more people. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a form component that has all the fields that we can use for editing or creating. So what we're going to do is first just start setting that up. So let's go back to our front end application, close all this. And I'm going to go back to the front end, and then in our components folder, I'm going to take this template, copy it, paste it in there, and I'm going to rename this template. I will rename it form.js. Okay, and then I need to actually make sure I export it here at the bottom before I forget. Oh no, I already have that export default. There. Okay, cool. And returns props. So let's think about it. First, let's just build out the form. So this would be have a form tag, which will have an onSubmit function. Okay, which will be passed down as props. So what it does on submit will be passed down in props. So this function can either edit, it can create, it just depends on what we pass in as props. So I'm going to pass in on submit, we'll call it props dot handle submit. Okay, and that'll be the function that runs when this form is clicked. Okie dokie. And we're also going to pass it a handle change function, so that way we can update the state, because we're going to keep the state in app. The reason is we need that state to populate the DOM in the app component. So I can't move the data that's in the form. Or let me think about this for a second. Actually, I could. So let's keep the data. Yeah. let's make a state for the form. We can do that. So we'll do const array destructuring form data set form data equals use state. We'll come back to that. Let me just first actually destructure those things. So const use state equals react. Okay. And then again, basically we're gonna have three fields in here, which are name, which will start out as an empty string, location, which will start as an empty string, and then location is an empty string, and age, which will start out as 0. Cool. Which means we're going to need to build a handle change function, because again, if you've done React forms before, what you have to do is you have to update the state as you update the form, or it's all going to break. So we do const handle change equals a function which should be taking the event, because it's going to be a. And then basically what we're doing is we're going to use the set form data function, because we're changing the state. And then we're creating a new object that includes all the existing properties of set of form data, because that's the state. Again, it's the name of the variable, and then the function to set the variable. That's a state variable. And then we're going to change whatever property which is event.target.name, and then we're going to change that property to event.target.value. Okay, so this way, no matter which, you'll see how that's gonna work, but that's essentially the function. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's see here. Form. So let's create some inputs. Input type equals text. And type equals text. Okay, I realize a couple things I'm going to have to do a little bit different, but type equals text. Name equals name. Value equals, and then we have to bind it to our state. So it would be form data.name, because again, form data has a property called name. And essentially what this does is that every time we change the value of the form, that handle submit function is going to run. So it would be on change. So on change equals handle change. And what this does, it just updates the state, so that way the form and the state are always kind of in sync with each other. Okay, and then we have to close that. Now we just need to do that same thing again for the other two. So that's location and age. So this one stays the same. This is just changing to location. And we're linking it to the location property on the form. This one's going to be number. And this is going to be called age. And this links to age. Okay. Then we're going to have one more input. That's of type submit. That has a value, which is just going to be submit, because it can be for like creating or editing. Okie dokie, and that creates the form. Okay, so there's our form. A couple things we need to change. I do need to create a local handle submit function. Handle submit. The reason is I need to have access to the form data state, which I won't have if I define the function above. So handle submit equals event. And I need to have access to that event because I need to do event.prevent default to prevent the page from refreshing when we hit the submit button. And then we'll invoke the props.handle submit function, the one that we pass in. And that one we're going to pass in the form data object, because it's going to need that to make the API call. So what I'm going to do is change over here. This should just be handle submit. Okay, and then that should be good. So now we will head back to our app component, and then we can inject the form or create another like h1. create a person. Throw in the form component. We have to pass in a function, but first let's actually import the function component. So import form from dot slash components slash form.js. So we imported form. Good day. Back to our JSX, we have the form component, but we need to send it a handle submit function so that we can handle that submit. So we're going to call it const handle create, because it's going to be for creating, because we're going to make another one for editing. Handle create equals, pass in the data. And essentially what this is going to do, it is going to const, we have to do fetch. So fetch, and then we have to pass in a whole bunch of details. So the URL is local http / localhost 3000. And we'll make this cleaner down the road when we get to deployment. Localhost 3000. Localhost 3000 / create. Now in this case, the method is going to be a post. Headers, and then headers we have to pass it in an object. And it should be like content type. And it should be application. I always forget the exact text of the header. Application JSON. Is that right? Type application JSON. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Application JSON. Then the body should be JSON.stringify, and we're stringifying the data that we submitted in. Okie dokie. And that should then return us some stuff. So then we have to do the whole .then thing again. .then response equals response.json. Then the result of that. Then we're just going to essentially do add to our persons array. So we're going to do set persons. And the only thing we're going to do with set persons is we're going to say that the current array equals the persons that we have so far. Oh wait, no, 1 second. There's a property called persons, which is an array. And that array should include everything that's currently in that array. So currently in persons.persons. Along with the result, the new person. Okay, and that should do it. So essentially what we're doing is we're just saying that array in our persons variable is equals to what it is now plus the new person. And let's Save. We'll see if that works. Let me see here. Okay, and then we need to pass it in there. So we have to pass in the handle submit prop, and that handle submit's gonna equal our handle create function. So we're passing that function down to the form component. So now when we hit submit on that form component, it will create. Yeah, that should do it. So let's go take a look how this is looking so far. There's our create person. Let's create Bob from Stankonia, who's age 50. Unexpected token and JSON at position 0. $46. Let's go back over here. 46 in app. Response. What did it say? Unexpected token. Here's what I will do. One thing I'll do just to make this a little bit cleaner. Well, not cleaner, but more deliberate. We will return response.json. I'll let that format itself. Okay. And we'll refresh. We'll see if that person actually got created. It did not. Okay, so there's other stuff that's... So what I'm going to do is use a try catch block. Actually, what I can just do a dot catch. So dot catch error, or actually it's error console.log error. So we can catch what that error is. Okay. So let's try that again. Wait for it to load. Bob. He's from hello 3. This time it's an app 52. Okay, so let's see if we can catch the error from the server side. So let me bring up my back end. I'm sure it probably has to do with this line right here, but how about we just nip it in the bud and do a quick search. Fetch post request. And I always forget the exact syntax of the headers, so let's take a look. Fetch, here we go. Method post, mode, where it kind of took care of the core's problem. Headers. That's essentially what I did. Did I not do that? Content type, application JSON. Content type, application JSON. Yeah, we did that. And we did JSON.stringify the body. Oh, I see what I did wrong. The URL doesn't belong in there, so let me cut that out. make that mistake. Cut. So is the URL then the config object? So pass in the URL, comma, there we go. Now let's go back and try this out. Bob, hello, 30, 40. And Bob got created and added. Perfect. Okay, so it's working. Okay, and just to kind of walk you through what's happening there. When we hit submit on our form, it triggers this handle submit function, which prevents the refresh of the page, and then actually calls the handle submit function that we passed in. What we passed in under the name of handle submit here was actually our handle create function, which does the fetch call for a post. Okay, and the reason why I want this function defined here is because I need to use this set persons function. That's why I had to create this function here and pass it down the form. Because again, everything is encapsulated in React. So this form doesn't really care what the handle submit function does. You pass it what you want this handle submit function to do, because we're passing this part as a prop. So this is what the nice thing about this is that when we get to update later on, we can just use this same form to update our data. We'll have to make a few modifications, but that'll be that. And with that, I will wrap this video up. We created the create on our front end. Ciao.